Buju, wago shindagu migizi indodem, gazaga squaji mekag, indun jaba. I recently had a chance to read Healing the Soul Wound, Trauma-Informed Counseling for Indigenous Communities by Eduardo Duran. This book has gotten a lot of attention, sold plenty of copies, and I think what Duran provides can be useful as we think about what might healing look like. A lot of humans are dealing with feelings of shame, guilt, feeling stuck. How do I heal from or move forward from bad things that have happened to me, or bad things that I myself have done? And so, I thought he did a good job of laying out how we got here and some of the things that people deal with. He has special experience working with veterans, and I thought that was also very helpful and would be helpful for a lot of people. In looking at his healing advice and apparatus, some things I found resonant. He talked about, when we're stuck with shame or feelings of guilt and things like that, that having a spirituality-based, culture-based approach to setting it right can be helpful. If somebody caused pain to another, could be through their substance abuse or addiction, or they did a harmful act or committed a crime, that by making offerings of tobacco, food, and so forth, that even though that doesn't make everything that was done wrong right, what it does is it provides kind of a spiritual payment to mitigate the karma effect, but also to help the person who caused injury to discharge some of that shame feeling so that they can be more healthy, productive, and engaged in all the things in their life. And that basic protocol or practice that he describes made a lot of sense to me. What I found a little bit, wanting, honestly, was that he was speaking in the broadest terms, which I understand. He wants this book to be broadly approachable to people from many different tribes, not just talk about one particular tribal practice or experience. But, I found myself wishing that he said, here's an example of what was done in this Navajo context or this Dakota context or whatever it might be. Not to say everybody should do the Navajo thing or the Dakota thing or whatever, but just to provide some specifically, community-based tribal, applications of this broader array of healing practices that he talked about. So I was looking for a little bit more grounding, not so much to say, here's your new culture or something like that, but to say, here's how some people have done this practice and how it has helped them. So I was looking for a little bit more of that. But having said that, I do think that the psychological advice, the tools for grappling, especially with guilt and shame, were very helpful. And I do think that it can be helpful for decentering some of the really Western approaches that have been applied in psychotherapy, and even substance abuse treatment and things like that. That we have to diagnose a problem. That means you are deficient, and now we're going to fix you. And that approach, I think, actually exacerbates shame. And Duran is quite right to point out that's actually making the problem worse for a lot of people. That when we instead think about how do we restore balance within our own psychological frame, our relation, with other people and the spirits and things like that, that is a much healthier grounding and a more indigenous grounding for the work. So that is a contribution to the field and people's understandings, and I would recommend Healing the Soul Wound. Thanks for watching today. I'm Anton Treuer. Let's keep in touch. I'm active on social media, and my website has lots of information on my books, speaking engagements, resources for the Ojibwe language, teachers, and more. Miigwech.